The dangers of mold are brutal on your health, so you need to make sure that you don't have mold in your home. However, knowing exactly where to find mold is the first step of the process. My fiance and I had some pretty bad mold experiences, and it was through these experiences I've learned exactly where to look. Here are the most common places to find mold in your home. I'll also show you a few uncommon places that are just as bad or maybe even worse. Place number 1, shower or bath. The number one requirement for mold to grow is moisture, so we are going to start in the wettest place of the house, the bathroom. Mold thrives in this environment due to the warm and wet nature of your bath and shower constantly being used. Without proper ventilation, they stay wet for hours at a time. So how do you actually see that mold is growing? Well, there are a few key areas to look. Firstly, look in and in between your shower tiles. That tends to be one of the biggest areas for mold to grow. You can also check on the shower curtain, on product bottles, in sponges, or on baby bath toys. Bath toys are actually one of the scariest places to find mold, but I'll explain more later in the video. If you want to stop all of this from happening, make sure to open the windows in your bathroom. I'd recommend making a habit of doing it after every bath or shower to ensure that everything dries properly. Good ventilation will reduce humidity in the bathroom and prevent it from seeping into the other areas of your home. If your window doesn't make such a difference or you don't have one in your bathroom, consider getting an exhaust fan. If the bathroom feels really damp, consider turning on the floor heating or a wall towel drying rack if you have one. Another option is to run a squeegee or dry towel over the wet tiles after every shower to dry them off. So while mold is really easy to spot in the bathroom, this next area is much harder. Place number 2, washing machine. Just like the bathroom, this next item gets a lot of moisture, with most people using it every single day. Let's look at your washing machine. Because clothes are washed with water, moisture can sit in your washing machine for hours, especially if you don't air it out after each cycle. Leftover detergent also contributes to mold growth because the mold actually feeds on it. Mold loves warm, dark environments, and your washing machine definitely fits this bill. Some common areas you should check for mold growth in your washing machine are the seals, the dispenser tray, and the gasket. You can prevent mold growth here by removing wet clothes from the washing machine right after the cycle has ended and leaving the door open for the tub to air out and dry. I'd also recommend not using liquid fabric softeners because it leaves a residue behind. White vinegar and maybe a few drops of your favorite essential oil will do the job. Also, clean the tub regularly by running hot cycles with vinegar and then baking soda. You should then wipe down the dispenser tray, seals, and gasket as often as you can. Place number 3, dishwasher. The next place to find mold has a similar design to a washing machine, but the reason mold grows is slightly different. Your dishwasher is a hub of moisture, humidity, and darkness, which mold cannot resist. The main purpose of a dishwasher is to remove food and grime from your dishes, but those food particles can get stuck in the crevices inside your dishwasher, which mold feeds on. Dishwashers often develop mold because people think they're self-cleaning. However, this isn't the case, and regular cleanings are necessary, especially on the rubber and plastic parts. You should also check the door seals, gaskets, spray arms, filter, drain hose, and the vent. Like with the washing machine, mold growth can be prevented if you leave the door open after each use. This will allow it to dry out and not lock the humidity and moisture inside. I'd mainly focus on the filter as it's one of the main places where food particles get trapped. If anything, make sure that you clean it at least once a month. Place number 4, fridge and freezer. While the dishwasher gets filled with old food bits, let's move to where you'll find fresh food, the refrigerator. Although mold loves wet, humid environments, your fridge isn't exempt, as mold can tolerate cold temperatures too. The fridge has plenty of things that attract mold, such as water, liquid spills, fruits, vegetables, and anything past its expiration date. It's not just the stuff in the fridge though. Mold can also target the door seals, drip trays, and the water dispenser, which is hard to clean and often overlooked. It's important to go through your food items regularly and discard the things that are no longer fresh and safe to eat. I'd recommend doing this at least once a week or as soon as you notice food going bad. If you see any food with mold on it, throw it away immediately. Food that has mold spots on it is already fully contaminated, cannot be saved, and it definitely should not be eaten. You may have grown up with your parents simply breaking off the moldy parts from foods like bread and cheese, or you might still be doing that yourself. But there is a big problem with this. Some molds can be harmless, but some are deadly, and you won't be able to tell the difference, so it's always better to just not risk it. So how do you prevent mold growth in the refrigerator? Well, I clean up liquid spills and messes as soon as I see them. I keep a box of baking soda in my refrigerator to absorb odors, and I regularly remove and wipe down all the shelves and drawers. When I clean the inside of my fridge, I give extra attention to the seal and all the crevices and dry everything with a towel afterwards. It's also important to store your food properly, so invest in airtight containers as this will keep your things fresh for longer and prevent contamination. Make sure your fruits and vegetables are dry when you put them in the refrigerator and remove any wet packaging. I mentioned the water dispenser earlier, but I need to hammer the point through that it's probably the trickiest part of the fridge to clean. If you see mold there, you'll need to get it replaced to prevent further contamination. Place number 5, coffee grinder. Before we move out of the kitchen, let's look a bit closer at 2 more places you need to be careful of. If you're like millions of other coffee lovers around the world who love their coffee flavorful and fresh, you'll likely have a coffee grinder. Whether you use your coffee grinder a couple of times a week or a couple of times a day, it accumulates moisture and coffee residue, and of course mold can feed and grow in these conditions. Mold in your coffee grinder, even if you can't see it, can make you feel sick and change the flavor of the coffee, so it's important to be aware of its effects. Many people don't think coffee grinders need to be cleaned often and may wait years to do so, but due to the moisture and coffee residue, I'd recommend cleaning it at least once a month. When cleaning your coffee grinder, disassemble it for a deep clean and wipe down each removable part. Follow the manufacturer's instructions on what parts can be cleaned with soapy water, as some parts, such as the burr, will get damaged if they come into contact with water. As a healthy practice, you should also keep the grinder dust-free, which just involves wiping it down with a brush after each use. Place number 6, water purifier. Water purifiers give you a peace of mind that the water you're consuming is safe and free from contaminants. However, without proper maintenance, you could honestly be putting your health at risk. You can reduce the risk by replacing the filter every 6 to 12 months, as well as regularly cleaning the interior and exterior of the water purifier with vinegar. Pay extra attention to the seals. As you've probably realized by now, most sealed areas are very prone to mold growth. Before reassembling the water purifier, allow each part to air dry, ensuring that no moisture remains that could cause mold growth. Place number 7, garage. Now let's move to an area much larger than everything I've touched on so far. If you have a garage, you need to know that it's an absolute hotspot for mold. Think about all the materials and items you have sitting in there. Most people have cardboards, wood, fabrics, soiled tools, shelving, plant pots, baskets, and of course, cars. Most garages aren't well maintained or regularly cleaned and are therefore prone to leaks, dust, and debris. They're also usually poorly ventilated and don't have much natural light. You'll then have cars bringing in water from rain or snow and leaving puddles and mud on the floor. All these factors and more create an ideal environment for mold to hide and fester. Although you may not spend a lot of time in your garage, going in there each day to open the windows and doors to let air and natural light in will make a big difference in preventing mold growth. If your garage doesn't have a window, you can get an extractor fan or a dehumidifier. And speaking of a dehumidifier, there is actually a bonus item on the list, a humidifier. The use of a humidifier is actually necessary for buildings with dry air. However, it's important to keep your humidity levels between 30 and 50%. It's also important to remember to only run it when you need it, as continuous usage will increase the humidity and moisture in your home. Again, mold grows in higher humidity levels, so a humidifier often does more harm than good when people don't use it properly. When you bring home a humidifier, you need to monitor not only your home, but also the humidifier itself. A humidifier that isn't cleaned regularly can develop mold growth. If mold grows in your humidifier and you breathe in the mist it emits, you'll also be breathing the mold spores, which can cause health problems. Fortunately, many have silver inside to prevent mold growth. I don't know how effective these are though. Therefore, it's a good idea to discard old water every morning and add fresh, clean water to the humidifier before every use. Okay, so those were common places to find mold in your home. But there are less common places that you may not know about, and these are often even more dangerous. Place number 1, on your mattress. This first one is really scary, and it's a place where you spend hours of your time every single day. Mold may just be right under you without you having any idea. If you haven't done so in a while, it's probably time you strip off all your bedding, including your mattress protector, to examine your mattress for mold. Look out for discolored spots and even use a flashlight for better visibility. Look on the top and under the mattress, as well as on the sides and corners. Another sign of mold is a musty odor. If your mattress has a large area of mold, the mold has penetrated into the material, or you can't get it out, you'll need to replace it. However, if there are a few spots of mold, you can clean them by vacuuming the whole mattress, spraying a hydrogen peroxide solution on the spots, scrubbing the affected areas, and leaving the mattress in a well-ventilated area to dry completely before vacuuming a final time. Regardless of the presence of mold or not, you should clean your mattress every few months or so. And of course, preventing mold growth on your mattress in the first place is a much better option. You can do this by keeping your mattress well ventilated by keeping it off the ground and away from the wall with a bed frame. Keeping your room ventilated with an open window and stripping the mattress to air it out will also help. Also, you can reduce moisture absorption by regularly flipping your mattress, using a waterproof mattress protector, and avoiding going to bed with wet hair or leaving wet towels on your bed. Place number 2, indoor plants. I'm a huge fan of indoor plants as they can really light up a room and give a natural look. But without the right care, the soil can make for a great environment for mold growth. Overwatering your plants so that the soil is always damp is one of the fastest ways to develop mold in your home, and it's often what people do without realizing how harmful it can be. Place number 3, rubber utensils. Let's move back to the kitchen. While mold appears on the big things, it also pops up on a few smaller things, especially rubber utensils. It's quite normal for mold to grow on rubber or silicone utensils, especially where the wooden handle connects to the rubber. With time and use, the handles of utensils start to become worn and can wobble or even slip out of the rubber head. If these connecting pieces are not cleaned and dried properly, mold will start to grow there. You'll know that mold has set in because the utensils will feel slimy, have an odor, or develop dark spots. Honestly, there are so many issues that pop up with rubber utensils other than mold, so I just wouldn't recommend using them at all. It's better to go with a non-porous option like stainless steel. Okay, so I mentioned how dangerous bath toys can be earlier, but here's a bigger breakdown of why mold is so attracted to them. The biggest culprits are flexible plastic bath toys, ones that squeak, or toys with holes for water to flow through. The problem with these toys are that they trap warm water and are hard to clean, which allows mold to hide and fester. Toys that look perfectly clean on the outside can harbor a lot of mold on the inside. Now imagine your baby or toddler constantly putting those toys in their mouth. Not great. To prevent owning moldy bath toys, look for options that are made of silicone, as water can't penetrate these and get trapped inside. You should also make sure to get toys that can easily be opened. They are usually marked as mold safe or mold free. With the toys you do have, make sure to clean them regularly, allow them to dry, and store them in a dry area. So while we just looked at all the common areas where mold might be hiding and how you can prevent it from growing, the unfortunate reality is that you might already be a little bit late to the party. So what do you do if there already is mold present in your home? How do you clean it properly and make sure that you're living in a safe environment? Don't worry, I've got you covered. Check out this video next to see what your options are.